Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us back at Enter the Abyss. We apologize for the break. Like Clete said in the last episode, unfortunately his roommate was diagnosed with coronavirus and it just wasn't a good thing for me to come over. But we waited. Everything's clear. Everything's good to go now. But thanks, Clete, for doing the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's really selfish of her to get the coronavirus. So, again, maybe I can get her on here to apologize. I don't know.
I mean, she is a first responder, so, how dare she respond?
What a rude, narcissistic, selfish person.
Terrible. Well, I am glad she's feeling better. I'm glad you didn't get it, and I'm glad things are right. But if I do take this thing home, I'm going to kill you.
Oh. Well, they said that if you have O blood, O positive, O negative,
you're way more susceptible.
You're not susceptible, actually. It's opposite.
Oh, I heard that it was like really rare because I think my wife had that blood and they were nervous that she was going to get it.
Who knows? I guess they go back and forth. I was literally driving on the freeway and listening to the radio, and that's what they said.
Interesting.
I swear to God, I was like, that's what I have.
Information changes quite a bit, right?
So if you guys need blood, I'm kidding.
We found the blood market in Clete's basement.
The blood market.
Anyway,
okay.
So we are back, though. We do apologize for the break. I mean, it definitely hurts us as much as it hurts you guys. We hate taking a break, but I'm glad that we're back. But Clete, what are we talking about?
So tonight we're going to go over personal experiences we've had, whether in childhood or adulthood, with the paranormal. And I think, I feel like everyone has their own like little paranormal story. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Whether or not you believe in the paranormal, I think everybody has a couple things that have happened to them that they can't quite explain, or they can, and it still terrified them.
And what bothers me too is when I was a kid, like I had so many strange experiences, but as an adult, when I go and rationalize about it, I'm like, was that just my imagination? Was I asleep? Because, like you were 7, but you saw something crazy and you're like it's hard to really rationalize it.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I mean, you kind of toss, because obviously you're a kid, things just happen and you blow it way out of proportion. And you're an adult, you're like, nah, it was stupid. But, I think that we have some pretty good stories. I have a lot of stuff, and when you told me that's what we were doing, taking a trip down memory lane, I got kind of goosebumps thinking back to it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, reevaluating what happened to me when I was a kid. And I'm like, it could have been like a predator in like window well or something.
Oh, God,
I don't fucking
dude.
know.
I hope not.
Yeah, or ghosts.
I don't have any like predator stuff.
What's Occam's razor?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, I'm nervous to hear what kind of childhood you had then. If you're worried about creepers
here.
Go for it. But before we jump into the personal stories here, I do want to give a huge shout out and thank you to a really good friend of ours and a listener, Laura. She sent in some really cool fan art that I'm really, really excited to share on Facebook. I'm going to be posting it a little bit later, so check it on Facebook. If you don't follow us on Facebook, please do. I'm going to be better at updating. I'm going to lie, I'm not that great, but I'll post it on there. But Laura, thank you so much for sending it and for listening. Thanks
Laura.
For your support.
You're the best. I'm pretty sure she's our #1 fan.
Probably. And I wouldn't have it any other way, if I'm being honest.
All right. So let's jump in. You want to go first? You want me to go to first?
I think you should take it first. Go for it.
All right. When I was a kid, I had the biggest fear of my childhood house. All my friends were uncomfortable in it, and some weird stuff happened. So where do I start? They say something on Reddit. It's called core memories, like these weird memories that you have that are so vivid that you almost remember, like, the surroundings. Not just the context, but it's almost like a photographic memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like that way about dreams sometimes, where you wake up and you can only remember parts of it.
Yeah.
And it's very real, but then you can't remember other context.
So when I was a kid, and this was probably between the ages of, I don't know, maybe 8 and 12. I don't know.
It was like, 40 years ago?
No, it was a long time ago. When was Google made? 1999 or something?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
I probably like Google was invented or something, I think. So I would lay in bed, and I've never been a good sleeper. I never have. I've had to lay in bed for between 30 to 40 minutes to ever fall asleep.
Amen, brother.
Every freaking time.
I'm still that way.
So I would always just let my mind wander. Just think of whatever 8-year-old Clete thought about. And I remember when sometimes I would just get these vivid ideas in my head. Like I remember one time I saw a hand clap, and I swear to God I heard it clap. right by my ear, and it's like conjuring shit.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say that's like the Conjuring
Yeah.
when you see the hands come
I
out.
remember.
And just,
I remember, like specifically.
I bet that threw you
Bam.
back to your childhood immediately.
Yeah, no, actually, the Conjuring. That when I saw that preview, I was like, "Fuck!" And I thought of that. You know, I'm like, "Whoa." But like, I would have those things happen all the time in my room where I imagined something. It was almost like a foreign memory. Like it wasn't me putting that memory in my head, right?
Yeah.
I saw the hands and they went.
And that's it.
And I remember I jolted up, you know. And again, it's like a rational mind would say, well, maybe you're just on the peak of falling asleep, right?
Yeah.
And then you got an adrenaline rush and your body shot up and you're like, my God, what was that? There was another occurrence which actually really, really scared me. And I remember it was almost like an entity that could read my mind, right? This is going to sound crazy. But I remember like I was laying in bed and I was like, you know, it'd be funny because I'm trying to like talk myself up. Like, I ain't fucking afraid of the dark, man. I ain't scared of shit.
Right.
And I'm like, well, people are afraid of closets. What if I heard a deep voice call my name in the closet saying Clete?
And I bet you heard that
I
voice.
swear to God, I heard it. It just said Clete. And I remember I just sat there and I was like holding my covers. I was so afraid.
Yeah, dude, that's nuts.
So the only other thing that I can remember that scared me even more is for Christmas, my parents bought me this like really cheap game board that had 3 games in it. It had like Chinese checkers. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Chinese checkers.
And then regular checkers and chess. I loved chess growing up. And I remember because it had so many pieces. I had it at the end of the waterbed that I slept on, right?
You had a waterbed as a kid?
Yeah, dude, it was cool.
Dude, that's legit.
Yeah, it was pretty
I didn't
cool.
have a waterbed.
Well, anyways, I just thought about, I'm like, what if these pieces just start shifting in the box, right?
Right.
Those pieces started to shift in those boxes. Like someone was holding that little game box and going left to right in the air.
Jeez,
up
man.
and down, up and down.
You've got a smart whatever it was, because the second you're like, I hope this doesn't happen.
No, and
That's
again,
what you get.
I can't rationalize it as an adult because it's like either one, yeah, like that house is fucked up, or 2, I was asleep.
Or both.
But
you were sleeping in a fucked up house.
I remember being clearly awake during those experiences. So that's just one story.
But it's funny that you mentioned having a hard time falling asleep. I'm the exact same way, and I always have been. I used to tease my brother because he would literally say, you know, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. The second his head hit the pillow, snoring, done. I'm
got
like,
jealous
I
over
hate
that
you. I
every
hate you.
time.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there like, and I wasn't thinking about anything specific. I just couldn't sleep. Just could not sleep. And it's weird, but growing up, I had the same thing where, you know, you kind of have those irrational fear of the dark.
Yeah.
I would make myself, and this sounds terrible, I understand it's torturous, but I would make myself imagine the scariest things I could. Like,
See, I feel like that's what I was doing with
Yeah.
the closet. I'm sorry, but keep going.
no, absolutely. And I would hang my foot out of the covers over the bed, like a lot of people are afraid to do, and I would just imagine someone grabbing it. And I think by me imagining that never happening, I kind of got myself away from that. I'm like, it's not going to happen. But there was several nights, it was torture leaving my leg over the edge of the bed like that, out of the covers, because I was really young, but hey, I never got grabbed, never.
That's so funny because I think everyone has that fear. I remember like the fear of someone under my bed when I was like really young.
Oh yeah.
Right? When you're like 5 or 6. I remember when I was a kid, if I ever had to get up to go to the bathroom, it's like that vulnerable moment. I remember I'd stand up in my little twin bed or whatever those small beds are called, and I would jump.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Like, 2
And you hit
feet
the
bathroom.
yeah, or you jump, and I did the same thing. I jumped to my light switch and flicked it on, and I turn around. It's like,
Yeah.
or it's like when you're running up the stairs from the basement from the dark, and the second you get up there, you're fine. It's like the dark just scares people,
was
and
so
I get
afraid of
it.
my
It's
basement.
oh, the basement was bad. That's where our that's where we had our washer and dryer. If I was looking for like a specific pair of pajamas, like, you know, you have a kid, when you're a kid, you have your favorite pair of pajamas, and they're in the dryer. You had to go downstairs to get it. Dude, I was terrified. I'm like, Mom, you go get it. She's like, no, go grab it. But I hated going to the basement. But I you know, when you talked about being afraid of your childhood house, I was kind of the same thing. I swear, if it wasn't haunted, then, you know, it had a mind of its own. Something was going on. But I remember specifically one time where we had a golden retriever. Her name was Molly, and my mom and brother went to the store, And I stayed behind. I didn't want to go. I was too cool to go to the store with them. So I stayed back. And it was like 7 o'clock at night. So sun's starting to go down. And I'm home alone. And it's just me and Molly. I'm downstairs. And I hear footsteps upstairs. Like very prominent. Like, and the toilet, I swear to God, toilet flushes. It was bad. And I picked up my dog. I ran outside. I ran to the neighbor's house. And I'm like, hey, can we wait in here till my mom gets home? And she gave me the stinkiest ass look I've ever seen. Like, no, you can't come in here. I'm like, if my neighbor kid came over like, hey, I'm home alone, I'm afraid. I'm like, yeah, get in here. Come hang out.
She just pushed you out.
She let me in there, but she wasn't happy about it. I mean, it was...
That's, it's funny you brought up footsteps. So when I was younger, we changed our house to hardwood floors.
Yeah.
You know how at least those hardwood floors would creak, whenever you walked on it. I swear to God, every night, whether it was a house settling, could have been that. But I swear to God, every night I heard footsteps going through just the house.
But yeah, I was afraid of my house as a kid. And I remember, I'll just jump into the next story if you're cool, that
yeah.
I had a lot of friends and we lived in a circle. So, they came down.
Cul-de-sac, right?
Yeah.
Cul-de-sac.
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 Cul-de-sac. You were in a cult?
Yeah, we were in a cul-de-sac. No, but we lived in a circle, and I had a lot of friends, and after school on Friday, they legitimately would go and do their chores and come over, and they'd stay all weekend. They'd sleep over and stuff.
Yeah.
And my really good friend at the end of the circle, because I lived right where it rounded, he lived at the end where it connected to the other street. He'd come over, and we were sleeping. We slept down in the living room. And because I'm such a great host, I slept on the couch. He slept on the floor, as kids do.
Good for you.
I got the nice, comfy couch. He's on the floor with
this is privilege.
I think he had a cardboard blanket or something. No, he had real blankets. But we were sleeping, and like you said, I was on that verge of just asleep. But I swear I was awake. And how our house was set up is you come in through the garage, you got the living room, and then there's a couple steps up to the kitchen with a banister overlooking it. So you got a little railing that looks up into the kitchen so you can kind of see it from the living room. And anyway, I was sleeping facing the TV, so the kitchen's behind me. And I heard mumbling,
what?
really deep. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I look up behind me and I shit you not, this memory, I'm getting goosebumps now. This one has never left me and never will. But there was this figure, this really dark, shadowy figure leaning over the banister, and it's just talking to me. I can't tell what it's saying. I can't.
It's mumbling, right?
Yeah, it's a really deep mumbling, but it's looking at me, and its arms are dangling, it's just hanging out on the banister.
How long did you see him?
Oh, it was a couple minutes, and I'm
minutes? Are you serious?
I was frozen. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. And so finally, when I snapped out of it, I'm trying to wake my friend up, and he's one of those guys that he could literally sleep through a nuke and it wouldn't wake him up. So I'm punching him in his sternum, wake the fuck up! And I'm hitting him, and he wakes up all pissed off at me because I'm assaulting him in his sleep, obviously.
Did you see it?
He looked up and it's
battery.
gone.
It's
yeah,
battery
it's battery.
At that point.
Okay, wow.
Well, in the state of Utah and California.
Okay, well, there you go. But he looked up and it was gone. It wasn't there. And so he thinks I'm a maniac because I'm telling him...
You're probably a lunatic. You need to see somebody.
I shit you not. This thing has stuck with me forever. This is the one story
That's
that...
scary.
When you told me we're doing personal stuff, I'm like, oh, that one's immediately going in there. And it doesn't sound bad, I don't think. But for me, that's forever resonating because I see it so vividly in my mind. Freaked me out.
Just gave me chills right there. So I'll transition over here because you're talking about the fear of basements, right?
Right.
So there was... So when I was growing up, we started finishing the rooms in our basement, and I can't remember the exact circumstances, but I was able to acquire a finished room in our basement, right? It's almost like a rite of passage.
Nice.
You get to fucking just chill out in the basement. It's your own room.
You've made it in life when you make it to the basement.
That's a rite of passage for a kid. You're so far away from your parents. And so I remember that I was so afraid of the basement, but at that same time, I was like,
you're jazzed.
I'm
You're
stay here. I'm gonna stick here. I don't give it.
It's a challenge, man.
So I was really into Pokemon. I think I had Pokemon Blue at that time.
Yeah.
But I remember the first night I was playing Pokemon Blue, pitch black down there, and
it was on your little Nintendo Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a purple Game Boy Color where you could see through it.
Yeah, mine was the icy blue see through.
Yeah. So I remember I was playing it and I turned it off. And, I went and put it on my headboard because I had a waterbed still. I had, like, fucking cool headboard. But I remember I tried to fall asleep, and I remember just telling myself, don't be scared. It's all right. You like this room, you're going to stay here.
You're like jazzing yourself up. You wanted this. You got a waterbed.
I'm telling myself,
you're in the basement.
I am
you're
not
made.
afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. You know what happened? I heard a voice.
Oh, God.
I heard a voice. Okay, so I'm laying in my bed. Can't see a damn thing. It's pitch black, and I hear a voice that says, "Come here, come here,
no,
come here."
Fuck that, dude.
It was like facing my feet. It was on the end of the wall where that voice was coming from, not from the window well. And this is like the what's going on here? Either there's like 3 scenarios here that could possibly go on.
Do you have siblings that were fucking with you?
Okay, this happened for about 3 minutes. Okay, and yeah, I shared a door with my siblings, so that's one of the theories. The first theory is it's my brother fucking with me.
Okay.
He's trying to scare the shit out of me because of my first damn night down there.
It's an older brother?
That's you, dick.
It's an older brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second one is it's a pedophile in the window well. Or third, it's I don't know, fucking the unexplained.
Yeah.
All I remember is this, is I was so afraid, and I've never felt this scared in my life, right? Because you're so vulnerable. I think I was like 13. That I couldn't move. It wasn't like that I was asleep, though. It was like I grabbed my covers, I pulled them close, and I fell asleep after like 5 to 10 minutes.
It's all you can do at that point. You're so scared. What else do you do?
Yeah. So the next night, okay, I'm like, everything's good. I don't give a damn. And I swear to God, like I play my Pokemon, fighting those, what do you call the elite gym at the end? I don't fucking know anymore.
I don't know.
Fought Dragonite or something. I heard a scratching on the carpet to the right of me. Like someone was just scratching the carpet. Like, it just kept going like they were digging. They were digging aggressively. And I felt the same fear. I couldn't look to the right. I just fucking, like, I know this sounds kind of like a trope, but I put the covers over my face and I went to sleep. I couldn't look.
No voices the second night? Just the scratching?
Just scratching. Like someone scratching the carpet right next to your bed.
No. I mean, it's kind of like your cat does when she's in here, but...
Less scary, I'd kick my cat if she was scratching the carpet, but I love her.
You gotta have the carpet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you had a sick childhood, man. You had a waterbed in the basement. I mean, I don't think how you can even have it any better than that.
I love waterbeds.
Yeah, I don't think other than, the figure talking to, I don't think I heard any voices, but I do... In that same house, growing up, I think we lived there for like 12 years-ish. My mom woke up one night and I think this is kind of more sleep paralysis and kind of sleep apnea. She has a lot of bad sleep apnea. She woke up and the next morning she was telling me, she's like, it seriously felt like someone was trying to strangle me last night. Like someone was sitting on my chest.
Can I get some clarification? So what do you mean by sleep apnea? Give me the medical terminology.
So her sleep apnea, from my understanding, she has a hard time getting oxygen when she's sleeping. Like when she sleeps, like so it's like she has a CPAP machine that like helps her breathe. But when we were younger, she didn't have it, and she had restless leg syndrome as well. So sleeping did a number on her.
Okay.
But she seriously felt like she had someone sitting on her chest, and she would tell me about it. And then a couple nights later, she came, again, downstairs in the morning, and she had, like, finger marks on her arm from someone like had grabbed her.
Are you serious?
So she was super nervous about it, too. So this house, I swear to God, something was wrong with it. I mean, other than that, it never really hurt anybody or did anything. But, like, there were just always, like you said, footsteps. And I think it was just the house settling. But when you're a kid, you hear and like the pipes rattle, and it's like there's something wrong with this place. But I was scared shitless as a kid of that house.
All right, so I'm gonna transition to something only because it relates very well. This is really strange.
You don't need to explain yourself, Clete. Just jump into it.
So when I was a kid, I don't want to explain too much, but I was living with some friends in high school, and I was sleeping on their couch in their basement, and I had my first sleep paralysis episode. It was fucking crazy.
Ugh.
I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life. So I lived in this basement on a couch for a year, maybe. I can't remember. And it was pitch black at night. Like, you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. And I remember, like, there was a table in front of the couch and, like, a TV. And there was a lamp behind me that I could turn on with my, hand. And the middle of the night, I wake up, and all I see is black, right? And I realize I can't move my hands. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And so it was like a house that had like a kitchen next to it. Like, it was just a big room that I was at. It was like a living room and a kitchen. They were both combined. And I heard like this fucking demonic voice. It was so deep, and it knew my name. It said, Clete. Like, and I just kept hearing it trashing, like pulling off the cupboard fucking things, like just making a bunch of noise, right? Ugh. I hear clashing and things breaking. It's like, I'm gonna fucking ruin this kitchen. I'm gonna break everything. I'm gonna slowly get to you, and I'm gonna fucking murder your ass. And
dude, what is following you? You hear a lot of voices, and they always say your name. Like,
yeah, it's weird.
I think something's attached to you.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So I remember I was so scared, and I'm trying to move my arms, but they felt so heavy, you know, because I can't move them. And this is the weird thing that happened is like I felt like I could move my hand for a moment and get to the lamp and turn on the light.
Right.
But then I'd wake up in my original state where I can't move, and the voices were fucking like taunting me. Dude, it was like this crazy stream. I was like 17, okay? I had no idea what this was. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. This is it. Like, I'm done. And then, you know, it happened about 4 times. Same thing. I kept turning on the lamp, waking up in the same position, right? Like, they have this in horror movies, right? And I finally woke up, and it was morning. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I go onto Google, and I type in what happened. And that's how I found out about sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I talked about it earlier in the show, or in a previous episode. But my wife, when we were, you know, at the office, when we weren't working from home, it was, you know, I worked till 10, and it was like 9:55, and she had fallen asleep because at the time she was pregnant still, and she, you know, was just really tired all the time, and she had a sleep paralysis episode while she was pregnant, and she said that like she heard, I don't remember if she like heard something calling her name, or if she's like, I knew someone was home, but it wasn't you, and I couldn't move. She's like, she woke up and she could move her eyes, but she couldn't move her body, nothing. And I was like, and I was terrified because I'm like, well, my pregnant wife is at home alone, and this is before we had like our you know, fancy Nest doorbell that I could see who was there, and not too long ago before that, someone rang our doorbell at 10:05 p.m.
I remember
like,
that.
Who the
fuck
fuck does it?
I got like weird about that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get like a camera.
And that's why I got that goddamn doorbell that I can see through, because it was nuts. But I've never personally had sleep paralysis, and I hope I never do.
I've had it multiple times. I'd like to go over a few more.
Well, you talked about the one with your wife the one time.
I'm gonna do one more time. I'm gonna do one more
Go
time,
for it.
just because I don't know if you guys have heard it. This is probably the most scary one, honestly, because I remember I think it was the movie Dark Skies. If you ever seen that with the aliens,
That was yeah.
And it really did scare me. And I remember this is when I was married. We moved back with my parents for a little while. We were in the basement. It seems like a common theme. And I just remember we were laying there one night, and I realized, like, once you have it so many times, because I've had it probably close to a couple dozen times in my life.
Good God, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't really, I don't care anymore. But
you're just like out in another sleep paralysis.
I think it has to do with sleep apnea, and like, it always happens right before I fall asleep. But anyways, this is probably like the 4th time, so I was still pretty new to it. And I remember I can't move, and I'm looking at my wife, ex-wife now, and I remember I just can't move, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta like let her know that I'm going through this episode so she can fucking wake me up. And I remember I'm like all of a sudden I start to float in the air, like just a little bit, like couple millimeters, and it grows to inches. I start going up, and again the same thing happens, like just like in the lamp incident, right? Like I feel like I can move my hand,
but you just
and
frozen.
I grab her arm, and I'm shaking her, and this is what I interpreted in my brain, that she woke up, and I started getting pulled by my legs up, right? Because my arm's on her arm.
So
you're
you're grounded there.
First, and she goes up with me and starts screaming. And then we wake up, I wake up, and I'm in the bed next to her.
Did she say anything the next day, or did she ever comment on it?
Anything.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't do it. I
didn't want to. No, I don't. I mean, yeah, that's insane, man. I hope I never have to go through that, because I understand like the sleep paralysis stuff. It's pretty intense. But anyway, so I mean, talking about being afraid of houses. So you know, we moved away from that first house. We got a second house. Never had any problems there. But then, you know, in high school, I think it was like my it was my senior year in high school. We, moved in with my grandparents, hard times and stuff. So we moved in with my grandparents, and I went to the basement, obviously. So,
Damn
really
basement.
cool.
It's always there.
Now, crazy fact about my grandpa's house is it's built on where the Pony Express Trailway was. So a lot of people died on that. So a lot of activity going on there. And this place, I swear to God, there's stuff going on. And we've kind of talked about it in the family. And I've got people in my family that are like, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in that stuff. And I've got some people that do. But I believe that there's something going on. My wife believes something going on. So when I first moved in, not very long after my grandma was diagnosed with cancer, and did the whole chemotherapy thing, and my wife and I kind of talked about it. And we think that like because of her chemotherapy and everything that was going on, like a lot of the energy stuff, that it kind of brought the negative aspects of the house out because it feeds on pain and suffering. But anyway, like my grandma would always say that like I'd go upstairs and she's like, "Hey, who's here with you?" And I'm like, "No, there's no one here with me." And she's like, "Well, I keep seeing people running around outside."
It's like our damn episode that we did about people on their deathbed visions.
Yeah, I mean, but she was like, I see people like running across like the windows outside, and I'm like, no, there's seriously no one here. And a lot of funny stories later, like my mom and my aunt pranked my grandma one night by running around the house outside. So she always suspected that there was pranks going on, or I had friends over or whatever. But she always saw things, and then I started to see them, and you just see these weird like. Because she has a lot of windows. They live in a really, you've been there.
Yeah.
They live up on a hill, so they have a lot of windows so they can see around them. A lot of windows, not a lot of blinds. So you just like, when you walk in front of them, you can see your shadow, but you also see things like dart across. And it's like, what the hell is that? But when I lived in the basement, it's a really big basement. And, I had the corner room, and you could see all the way across to the door that goes outside. And I always saw things like moving around out there. And because it's like at night, it's like a reflection. It always looked like something was behind me. So I would always like look behind me like, what the fuck is going on down here? And it was just a constant unsettling mood in that house.
It's funny.
No, it's not funny. It's scary as shit.
All right, God.
And
Go ahead.
It's a long, you'll get to yours. So Christmas in 2010, I got my puppy. And, it stayed downstairs with me, which kind of helped because at that time I was downstairs in my basement. My brother and my mom moved elsewhere. And literally in the middle of the night, it'd be pitch black, dead quiet. And he would just start growling. And he'd get up on his feet.
How old was he?
He was a couple months at this point. But he did this for years. Like he'd sleep on the bed. He'd sleep on the foot of the bed, and he'd look at the door that led outside or led out to the living room. And he would just sit there and stare at it every night before bed like he's guarding it. And every other night or every 3 nights or whatever, he'd just growl and he'd start barking at the door like someone was there. Now, my grandma and grandpa, you can hear, because they have tile upstairs in the hardwood, you can hear when they're walking around. No one was moving, and he would just start barking and losing his shit.
The visitor in the abyss. So you reminded me, I don't know how this reminded me of this, but one very scary moment I had when I was a kid is... I remember I was sitting there on the couch watching a movie, and I was all alone, home alone. I was watching the world's scariest, is it Places? Do you remember like a TV series like that? I'm a little older than you, but it's like the world's scariest places on earth.
I mean, I'm sure it exists, sure.
Yeah. So I was watching that, and I was like, I was like 13, scared, and I heard my mom call me. And you can kind of tell when you've lived in a house so long the acoustics where it comes from. You know what I'm
if
about?
it's really your mom or
well, no,
not.
like you know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was coming from the bathroom because the bathroom generally has good acoustics.
Clete, come to the bathroom.
No, it just said my name. It said Clete, and I was like, oh, mom. I thought I was in trouble. So I run to the bathroom, and I remember it was there's no windows in it, so it's pitch black. And I remember I look at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, like why would my mom be calling my name in a pitch black bathroom? And I go, Mom, there's no response. I ran outside.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
I'm gonna wait for him to come home.
Nope, I'm gonna wait for my mom to come home. Did you call me from the bathroom wherever you were
Dude,
at?
I remember though, like my hair rose up on my arms. Like I was like, something's wrong here. And it scares me. Like let's just say that actually happened. I didn't imagine it.
Yeah.
What kind of deity could mimic your parents' voice beckoning you to come to them? It almost seems demonic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, demonic. Yeah. I mean,
I
the
felt
demonic
an evil
stuff.
presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's very malicious. A lot of that stuff, they'll play to be someone you know or love to get you to go to them. But it's funny because our stories just keep intertwining. Speaking of bathrooms, so same thing in the basement when I was living at my grandparents' house. When you walk out of my room, right on the right, there's a bathroom. So, I at nighttime, I turn the lights on downstairs because otherwise it's pitch black. And, before I'm going to bed, go to the bathroom. And I come out, all the lights are turned off. I left them all on. They were all off. So it's pitch black.
How old were you?
Probably, right after senior year of high school. So 19.
Okay.
So I'm older, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is not really scary, but I also don't fuck around with that shit. So all the lights are off. I'm like, oh, that's really weird. And, this feeling again, the feeling of like something coming at you, like running at you, that fear of like something's approaching you really quick.
It reminds me of like Evil Dead. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, I love Evil Dead. With the the camera sequence. So obviously you leave the bathroom, and when you first walk out, you have the whole living room in front of you, and it literally, shit you not, sounds like someone is sprinting at me.
Oh my god!
From the darkness, from the other end of the living room, like.
Christ.
Again, it's my grandma and grandpa. They're older. They're not track stars. Whoever was coming at me was booking it. And so I turned left. I ran into my room. I slammed it. I turned on my lights. And like you said, I went in my bed and I just sat there until I fell asleep. Like all the lights were on in my room. It scared the shit out of me. Like just sprinting at me with crazy bloodlust speed. It was nuts.
It's like a horror movie, there, dude. Straight up. I want to bring up one last thing because I still get sleep paralysis, so I want to give you a little bit more context, and I'll be done with this. I'm going to give you two things. So I'm pretty sure I can't sleep on my back, even to this day. I can't do it. Every time I do it, I get sleep paralysis. I swear to God, I sleep on my stomach.
Well, I mean, that's a sign of sleep apnea. Yeah. Because it restricts your airways.
No, So I remember I would get it almost every night when I lived with my ex-wife's parents' house. Mm-hmm. And I almost became like numb to it. Right? Like I would float and then I would just spin like
it's just a thing that happens.
Right? But then I started to read up on it more.
Bad thing to do.
Because I'm like, sleep paralysis, is it just audio hallucinations? And then they're like talking about like
and how you have cancer, about how you're dying. That's why you don't Google things.
Yeah, it's bad. Like anyone who has this, you will get it if you listen to this right now. So this is something that transcends culture and time. They have artists from from like the 1500s painting demons sitting on people's chests. Because when you're in sleep paralysis, you have trouble breathing because of the chemicals in your body. When you're sleeping, you can't move. Your chest doesn't expand as much. And people would imagine that an old hag or lady would sit on their chest.
It's just like I was telling my mom thought that someone was sitting on her chest.
Yeah, after I read that night, it happened. Some old hag sat on my chest. It scared the bejesus out of me. So at this point, it doesn't scare me at all. I can go into, so it's kind of hard to say. I still get scared, but I understand what it is in the moment. Right? I can feel my adrenaline building. But I still have it in this house. But the only situation I've ever had, and it's happened maybe 3 times, is someone's breaking in. They're coming to my door to kill me.
Wow.
Yeah, that's every sleep paralysis episode I have right now.
That's comforting.
Yeah, it's weird.
So you always wake up in defense mode, like, you're not gonna kill me today.
Weird. It's literally what you said. Someone's coming towards you, and you feel that feeling. It's like when you're in a dream. You don't have the whole plot, but you know what's happening.
Yeah. You know the background, the context without getting the whole thing. Yeah. Because your mind fills in the blanks. But I want to go back to that, again, my grandpa's house. I have a lot of shit that happened here. But this actually happened to my wife, and it kind of plays in with the whole, someone coming after you. But she was alone one night because, so a little bit of a backstory. I lived there in high school. We moved away, got our apartment after we got married. We moved to Arizona for a while, then we came back to save up money. We lived back with my grandparents. So we're married, living there in the basement. Okay, we're caught up. I'm at work. My grandpa's at work as well. And it's really late at night. Well, I wouldn't say really late. It's probably 8 o'clock at night. She's got food in the crock pot, and so it's done. And she thinks she hears one of us come home because the garage goes up, goes down. So she comes up to say, hey, dinner's ready. and the lights are still off. No one's home. And she's like, oh, that's weird. I could have sworn I heard someone come home. So she starts to like turn to go back down the stairs and hears again like footsteps. And she's like, she kind of stops and looks around like, okay, maybe someone is home. So she's calling out like, hello. And I'm a shitty person. I try and scare everyone. Like I'm just a prankster. I sneak up on people and hide in the dark. So she thinks I'm messing with her, but I'm not home. And so she starts to go downstairs, and again she hears like someone just running at her, right? Like, and it's hardwood upstairs. So she said she can physically feel the pressure of each footstep hitting the hardwood. So she books it down the stairs, slams the door, goes in the room, locks it, and waits till we come home. And I remember I got home and she was like, I kid you not, this actually happened. And, you know, I believed her because I've witnessed so many things at that house. It's ridiculous. But, I mean, so many things, like hearing people run at you and all these shadows and everything. It was a scary house.
Damn. All right, so let's just keep going because I feel like I'm going through like my life at this point. Progressing older and older. So when I was like 16, it was actually pretty cool. Like I like this. I was like fucking dead set and exploring this shit. I wanted to push it to the boundaries, you know. Push the envelope is what they would say. And so I'm 31, 16 was about 15 years ago. So you know the place called the Avenues?
Mm-hmm.
They had an abandoned hospital there for a while. Were you aware of that? Pretty old?
No, but it's something I'd go into.
So this giant ass abandoned hospital on E Street, right? They go
E Street.
A, B, C, D. E Street is
otherwise
where it
known
was.
as Easy Street.
Yeah, it was easy. So this thing was like fenced up, right? I'm like, hey guys, let's bring our Ouija board and we're gonna fucking climb up this fence and we're gonna explore this hospital. And we're gonna talk to some damn ghosts. So this thing was like stripped down, right? Because I think they were eventually they turned it into apartments like a year later. So they were working on the
Like
site.
same building?
Yeah.
They didn't like demolish it and build new ones. They
Half
just
of it
gutted
was
it.
gone.
Wow.
And the other half was gutted. But they had stairs. There was tile. So anyways, we go to the third floor, which is the farthest you could go up. We started playing with the Ouija board. And, I mean, I guess it worked. I don't know. Like, all the people I was with were pretty fucking shady. But the funny thing is, I'm telling you, this is who I am as a character when it comes to this shit. I remember we were playing around. It was moving. I remember someone asked a question like, what do you want? And I don't know, it's spelled like you die or something, okay? And, one of my friends goes, there's a shadow! And everyone around me jumps up and just runs down the stairs.
And just leaves you there?
I didn't care. I just picked up the Ouija board, the planchette, and I coolly walked down the stairs. Like, I don't give a damn at this point, because the sleep paralysis at this point is literally nothing.
You're just unaffected.
Yeah, I didn't care.
So you go down, you're like, so...
Everyone was gone but me.
You're like, oh, cool. So are you going to finish this or what? I just see you calmly coming down with the folded up Ouija board.
Oh, yeah, they were bitches.
You're like
Clean
dusting
some
it
bad.
off. Was it
Clean
your
some
Ouija
bad.
board?
Yeah, it was.
Where'd you get it?
Hasbro. It was one of those shitty ones from like Toys R Us.
Was it the glow in the dark one?
Yeah,
I had that same
I had
one.
it.
I have a Ouija board. It's really stupid, but I'm gonna make you guys wait till I cover. I have a Ouija board episode I wanted to do. But yeah, no, that's insane. But it's funny we had the same exact Ouija board. In fact, it's kind of funny. I've thought about this because in the room in my grandpa's basement, I had a really big closet and it had two doors. It was a really long, really big closet, and there I had vivid dreams that something was in there, and I wrote a story about it.
What was it, like The Visitor?
Yeah, right, like The Visitor. And it would always have like these really long fingers that come out and like tap the wall with really long fingernails, and my dog would always bark at the fucking closet. But it's funny because as like you said, when you grow older, you start to think about it. We used a Ouija board, my friend and I. Nothing happened. But I stored it at my house because he didn't want it at his house, so it was in my room in the closet. So my thought was, as I grow up, I'm like, hey, maybe we did conjure something, and it's just stuck in the closet with that goddamn Ouija board that we stuffed in there. But then when we moved out, I threw it away. It was just, like you said, the glow-in-the-dark, cheesy Hasbro one.
I don't know what happened to mine.
It's just out there somewhere.
It's gone.
Maybe some neighborhood kid picked it up.
Yeah.
Do you have any other stories? What's that?
Yeah, I have a few more. So, this was still back when I was 21, so 10 years ago. And I bought something called a ghost box. You know what that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
So scans the FM and AM radios really quick. Sometimes you hear something that sounds like a voice. And I thought that I was like, I'm going to prove this is bullshit or not, right? Because my name's Clete. Ain't nobody saying Clete on a goddamn radio box.
Yeah,
right?
but you're hearing Clete everywhere else, like the bathroom and...
Yeah, dude, screw you. So I bought it, right, and there was a speaker on it, so you really couldn't hear the speaker, and I didn't have any external speakers.
Right.
I was like, well, that's lame. But I did have an aux cord, and I'm like, all right, I'll just plug it into my
handy-dandy car.
My car, and I was driving around, right? And it sounds like radio, just like you're
like
switching
radio
between,
static?
No, like you're switching between radios really quick. So it's
Okay.
like, bah, 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 like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was just joking around. I'm like, what's my name? What's my name? I did that for a while and a couple of days. And there was one day I was doing it, and I remember I was specifically crossing the tracks, which is like this Utah public transportation system. I swear to motherfucking God, it was the middle of the night. It was like 10 p.m. It said, Clete! And I fucking slammed on the brakes right before the tracks because it scared me, right? And so, this keeps going. I know, it's stupid. But I want to get another one because every time I turned that box on, it would say my name. I swear to God, I'd have people around me. And it disappeared. Someone probably stole it. Dicks. Anyways, so...
Well, you talked about doing an episode with a ghost box.
I wanted to.
Maybe we'll buy one and do an episode where we do a ghost box.
All my friends would use it, and we would never get more than like one word answer. I was dating this girl. She was probably a 10. I'm a 4. And so we were watching somebody's house, and I'm like, I'm going to fucking bring this ghost box over, okay? And this night was like the most strangest night I've ever had. I swear to God, okay? So we take it in there, turn it on, put it on an external speaker, and this thing starts swearing at us. Like it's swearing.
It's had enough of your crap.
Like it's saying like F you, like all the time. Like it's never done it before either.
Wow. You pissed something off.
Like go to hell, F you, and things like that. Okay. So I remember specifically, we're like, all right, it's late at night. It's 1 a.m. We're gonna, go to sleep. And we were in the basement, and there's stairs and like a railing, and there's a kitchen, right? So we're in the basement area, all these basements, and we hear a bowl twirling. That's the right word. You know
like when a bowl drops, like...
Yeah, like whoa, 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 like, but a bowl, like it's a distinctive sound. Me being the person I am, trying to impress this pretty lady, I run up the stairs, right? And I'm gonna find this damn sound, figure out what's going on. There was a bowl that we left on the counter, but it wasn't moving when I got there, and I tried to reenact it, but I don't know, like it sounded like it, but at the same time I'm like, how would it have been just like it didn't make any sense. So in the last story I have here that I want to present to you guys, which I found very interesting because I didn't actually have too much of experience with it. I moved to a house in Holiday. I moved to a rental house, and I shared it with 3 other people. And people would come and go, and we'd rent out the rooms and things like that. But there was always this theme that would always keep up. So the landlord bought this house for his sister, who died from drug overdose.
Wow.
And so yeah, pretty weird shit. And I never told the people that lived with us that happened. Okay.
So you're the one who knew about it?
Yeah, because I was the only one on the lease. Because I had good credit.
Because you're the only responsible one.
Yeah. And I remember that everyone would always talk about a woman that they saw in their, they would see a woman in the house, okay? It was really weird. I remember one of my roommates who just moved in for the first month told me that he was sitting there on his computer and just saw, at his door, a woman's head just kind of slowly edging to view. Left eye.
Just from the door frame, just like...
But when he looked up, it was gone.
Nice.
And he kept seeing this woman in his closet at night. So I shit you not, this guy took off his closet doors and he put his computer station in it. Because he said he kept seeing the woman in the closet at night.
Yeah.
And
hey, I can relate. I swear to God, there was shit in my closet as well. It's freaky. I debated taking the doors off.
There was another time too when I was charging my phone out in the kitchen, and it fucking just flew out like someone yanked it. It was fucking bizarre.
Nice.
I didn't like my at first I thought I yanked it, right? Oh, you just did this. Right. But then I started to realize no, I didn't. There was no tension on the cord. It just fucking ripped out. But yeah, I mean, that's basically all I have personally that I can think of right off the bat of just like ghost stories. Did you have anything else, Britton?
No, I mean, that's it. I mean, there's probably a couple little things that happen, but ultimately that was good. But, thanks for the recommendation, Clete, and take me down memory lane of my scary ass growing up.
Old memory lane.
It always seems to be tied to a house, though, which is really crazy. And I wanted to ask you at the beginning, but we jumped into it, Clete. But I'm curious. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what is the thing that scares you most? Like, what are you absolutely afraid of? It's off the cusp. I just want to know.
Getting eaten alive.
Okay.
So I'll tell you one thing right here, right? We're in Utah. I would go to Skinwalker Ranch and take a dump on the fucking land. I'd dig a big ass hole. I don't give a damn. But the only thing that would scare me is that wolf story. That wolf coming out and taking a bite out of my chest.
Like it did with the calves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would, because you've seen that new series, the Skinwalker Ranch. Like I started watching.
Oh, you've watched it? I haven't watched it yet.
Been seeing this girl who has been playing. We've been watching that together, and I laugh at it because they seem like such cowards. They're like,
really?
Oh, we can't dig on this property. I'm like, dude, give me the damn shovel. I'll dig.
I want to watch it. I mean, there's a couple people in my family who watch it, and they've recommended it, but I haven't had the time to sit down and watch it yet.
So if somehow this gets to the people in Skinwalker Ranch, put me on that fucking show.
Give me a shovel, we'll dig.
Man the fuck up, and I'm gonna dig.
So you would say being eaten alive.
Yeah, scares the shit out of me.
Interesting.
As long as there's no animals, I don't care. Like, I could be in an abandoned hospital. That's why I want to do that for future videos, man.
Yeah.
I'm sick of seeing people run out of places, like in Ghost Adventures. Like, oh, I'm scared.
Yeah, well,
Fuck
hey,
off,
I mean,
bitch.
I mean, if we get enough traction, I'd love to do traveling videos. The reason I asked, though, I mean, what you're scared of, I was curious because you said that earlier. My biggest fear, and it's something that happened like as I grew older, because I don't remember having it as a kid, but it's like a phobia, like thalassophobia or talassophobia. It's a fear, an intense and persistent fear of the sea or open water. And like the thing is, I love water. Like I love swimming in lakes. I've swimmed in the ocean. I've swam in the ocean before, like on the shore. But the second you get to a point where you can't see the bottom, and like just being in the open sea and ocean, it scares the shit out of me. I think it's just that constant unknown of what's down there.
That scares me too.
Yeah, I mean we went.
Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, all the swirling bodies down there, the tornadoes of bodies.
Let's go.
And let's do it. Let's get some snorkeling gear. But we went deep sea fishing once in Hawaii, and you go clear, and they call it deep sea fishing for a reason. And we stopped for a little bit because you continually drive while you're fishing. And he stopped and said, "Oh, you want to jump in?"
Hang on. So you're surrounded. Can you see land?
Oh, you can see land.
Okay.
I mean, it's far away,
Right.
It's a couple miles, but you're in the middle of this dark blue ocean with miles of nothing beneath you. And he's like, "Okay, do you want to jump out?" And I took everything in my power to not say like, "No, fuck you. I'm staying on the boat." Like I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stay right here.
I couldn't do it.
Like you look into the water and it's pretty dark blue, but like you can't see anything. And the thing that scared me, I think where it started was we were in California, and I think it was Huntington Beach, and I was swimming on the shore, like we do, and jumping into the waves and stuff. And they always warn you about the current, but the current kind of caught me, and kind of swimming out, and it takes you out a little bit. So you're kind of touching, and I remember not being able to touch anymore. And I'm like, oh god, okay. So I look back, and I'm a little further than I wanted to be. So I kind of like, oh, I'm curious to look, and you look under, and a couple feet behind me, you can see the sand, and then a drop off, like just a shelf just drops, and it's pitch black below me. I think I was on top of the water, sprinting to the beach. I don't think I've ever swam that fast. It scared the shit out of me.
All right, here's a morbid question. Would you rather be in the middle of the ocean and they throw an anchor on you and they throw you in?
Fuck, dude.
Or burnt alive?
Burnt alive.
I'd pick that too.
Absolutely burnt alive.
You can do it. All right, Jonah Hart, I'm going your way.
Oh, God. Anyways, though, I mean, it's...
That would scare me, dude.
Yeah.
Like sinking. Like, because you would see, like, would you open your eyes? Like, I don't know. Like, would it hurt?
Well, and
it
it's an anchor.
I mean,
you're going clear down.
At what point do you die?
I think, well, I don't know, because if you're panicking, you're sucking in a lot of water and
Either
everything.
die from asphyxiation or pressure.
Or pressure. Yeah, exactly. You drown or you get smashed by the pressure eventually, which they both suck. So, I'd rather be burned alive. Thanks for the
I'm
question.
going to smoke a cigarette after this. Jesus.
Smoke them if you got them. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I'm glad we were able to share some of these stories. It really made me think, rather than focusing on a specific topic. But coming up in the next couple weeks, obviously our plan is to do this week by week. But again, with everything that's going on in this crazy world of ours that we're in 2020, that decided to go off the fucking rails. If we're not able to record in the week, we definitely apologize. We will do this, but we want to make sure we're doing it safe. And if you don't follow us on Facebook, please do. I know I've already said it, but that's where we like to post a lot of our updates. If not, and you don't see us post that week, don't freak out. We're not ending. If we decide that we are ending years down the line, we'll tell you before.
Next week.
Yeah, definitely not next week. But we do have a couple viewer submissions that are actually coming in, which I'm excited about. So in the next coming weeks, we'll probably do another viewer submission episode. If you've got them, let us know. Anything else? Just reach out to us. We're happy to do anything you guys request.
The most important thing you guys can do is share this with your friends. I mean, obviously we want a little bit of a following. We want to explore the unknown, and that's going to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll help us tremendously. We don't want to sound like the average, like, comment, subscribe. But if you do get us out there, guys, we have a lot of things we really want to do. And with that, we need some traction. So, but I'm completely excited about where we're at right now. I mean, we check the viewers every day and we're growing pretty quickly. And I want to keep it going that way. So, again, thank you for your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your suggestions. If you've got them, send them in.
As always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next week.